Oscar Reddrop, former number 10 advisor to the aforementioned Boris Johnson. Oscar, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I hope I'm not in the dock, am I in?
Well, I'm just looking at my notes of who I'm going to send to the authorities. Yeah, I mean, there is an issue around this. I mean, Donald Trump, let's talk about Donald Trump to start with. The administration attacking the UK over what they call restrictions of free speech in the last year, stating that human rights situation has worsened. Let's have a listen, though, to Keir Starmer and the US president's interaction on free speech just the other day. Here they are.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about it.
It's so David Brent that I don't know, I don't know where to start, Oscar. But there's definitely a question over this, and I don't know. The kindest interpretation is that nobody has quite worked out what this new world is we're living in.
Yeah, that was incredibly cringeworthy, that video, isn't it? Very, very insecure, the way he just jumped in there because of the recent vibe that is out there that things have got slightly worse under Keir Starmer and the Labour government. I think in your opening, you hit across some really, really major issues that have changed in recent years. And I think there's a little intersection that's happening at the moment that we're absolutely at the forefront of, which is that some of the biggest issues that have really seeped in within our society in the UK actually require or have agitated people so much, rightly so, that actually we're not dealing with, we're not dealing with, should we tear down statues? Do you remember that whole thing? Like in kind of like 2020, 2021? Yep. The things we're talking about now are so, that almost feels quite shrill and kind of so insignificant compared to the issues that we're having to deal with and to debate as a society now. Like we're genuinely debating some of the key pillars of our nation, in terms of who we are, and this absolutely taps into the stuff that we're seeing in Epping and in Southport, and then what comes with that. These are obviously incredibly loaded, difficult issues. And, in that, when people voice their opinions of things, they're going to naturally cross over into edgy territory. But I think that it's not necessarily about the freedom of speech that is necessarily the issue, and you shouldn't get them confused, although they are related. It's the monitoring that has changed. Yes. There is a feeling now that everything we do and say online is being closely monitored. Yeah. And that rightly, I think, makes people feel incredibly uncomfortable, and that tips into the Online Safety Act, and that also taps into, I read it in The Spectator a couple of days ago, people getting knocks on their doors because they're planning on going to a protest. Yeah. Or as you rightly said, that huge story that feels a while ago now about the school governors, yes, just voicing concerns in a WhatsApp group, and then they're getting knocks on the door by police. This is happening more and more. So it's the monitoring, and it sounds lazy and it sounds like a cliche, but that big brother state feels so, is treading heavier and heavier in our daily lives. Meanwhile, the British public are having to deal with huge changes to this country. And obviously, because of that and the weight of that and the pressure the British people are under, they're going to vent. They're going to protest. 100%. They're going to voice things that are impacting their life. And the other thing I would say on this, and this is a responsibility of all of us, is you have to take the politics out of it. It's too football teamy sometimes. Yep. The same people that would shut down, protests or voices on the left, will cry, why the hell am I being censored for their issues on the right? And of course, vice versa. Yeah. And actually, this is something that affects us all equally, and it should be treated as that. It should be treated as an issue that with that importance and weight.
It's interesting, isn't it, that this has come, like Keir Starmer is kind of going to go down in history as the man most associated with all of this. And I said at the beginning, in fairness to Starmer, this way predates Keir Starmer. But in the same way that Thatcher never did shrug off the milk snatcher thing, despite the fact that I think we talked about this before, didn't we? The Labour Education Secretary prior to her had also taken away the milk, but his name didn't rhyme with anything, so nobody talked about it very much. And here we got Keir Starmer, two-tier Keir. That moniker is kind of stuck, and he's now very much associated with almost the architect of all of this.
Yeah, he completely is, and you know, fairly or unfairly. But like I said, things have got darker on this front over the last year, and
Yeah.
America and the US and Trump and Vance and these guys, you know, they're very flexible in terms of how they view Keir Starmer. They're not like all-out war. So whatever Keir Starmer, the Labour government does, we will criticise. You know, they have good relationships
Sure.
on some issues, but on freedom of speech, they are right to be very, very critical. And this report is probably right to reference the stuff that happened last summer around around the incident in Southport. There was, I mean, and you rightly said it. You know, like. And obviously she's the most famous example, but there are plenty of others. Yeah. You know, the fact that the Labour government release repeat offenders early, who have then reoffended, and some of them their reoffending have been really, really grim stories. The fact that the British public have people coming to this country illegally and committing horrible crimes, when they then see someone like Lucy Connolly in prison for horrific, horrible, stupid, ugly, awful things that they posted online after Southport, and that they're getting years in prison, that is something that is broken. Yeah. There's something really, really sinisterly wrong there, and that's when it feels there's an element of politics to the justice system. Yeah. And in that politics, with a Labour government and Keir Starmer, some people seem to do slightly better than others. And I think the British public are fair enough to feel that.
100%.